And we have a breaking news update right now. We're getting the latest information as the Aiken County Sheriff's Office is going to be giving us some live and new information on the 4-year-old Javaya Harris, who has been missing since Tuesday. She was last seen.
You're about to hear a sheriff say the hardest words of his 36-year career. A search for a missing 4-year-old just became something else entirely. Her name is Javaya Harris. 4 days ago, she vanished from a quiet Aiken County street. Investigators searched over 5,000 acres. Volunteers poured in. A church opened its doors just to keep searchers hydrated. Everyone held on to one hope: find her alive. This is the hardest announcement I've ever had to make in my 36 years, Sheriff Marty Sawyer said. 2 things in this press conference change everything you think you know about this case. First, when investigators believe Javaya actually died, and it's earlier than anyone expected. Second, who's now behind bars for it, and it's not who searchers were looking for. This isn't a missing child story anymore. It's a homicide investigation. By the end of this video, you'll understand how a search for a lost girl ended in the arrest of her own parents. Sheriff Sawyer stood before cameras, flanked by FBI agents, state police, and county deputies. Behind him, days of exhaustion, thousands of search hours, a community holding its breath. Then he said the words no one wanted to hear: Javaya Harris is dead. Here's what makes this case different from most missing child tragedies. The public search and the real investigation were never the same operation. One looked for a living girl. The other was already building a case. You'll see exactly where those 2 paths split. Let's start at the beginning. Evidence Tuesday night, 8:15 p.m. Hillsborough Street and Ridgecrest Road, Aiken County. That's the last confirmed sighting of Javaya Harris. Pink Minnie Mouse pajamas. Small pink Crocs. A 4-year-old, alone in the dark, according to the story investigators were first given. Within hours, over a dozen agencies mobilized: search dogs, drones, dive teams, deputies from 5 neighboring counties. Aiken sits in brutal summer heat this time of year. Searchers worked 12-hour shifts in it, day after day. Bethel Baptist Church opened its doors. Food, water, a place with air conditioning for crews coming out of the woods. The professionalism, cooperation, and dedication demonstrated by everyone is nothing short of exceptional, Sheriff Sawyer said. The FBI wasn't a late addition to this case. Special Agent Kevin Moore confirmed his team was involved from the very first hours: behavioral analysts, digital forensics, a child abduction rapid deployment unit, all working alongside local search crews from day one. Think about the resources here: dozens of agencies, thousands of man-hours, volunteers risking heat exhaustion for a stranger's child. All of it built on one assumption: that Javaya was still out there, waiting to be found. But something didn't line up. Search efforts on the ground eventually scaled back, not because anyone gave up, but because the case had already started moving somewhere else entirely. Somewhere no search dog could reach. That shift, from searching a landscape to reconstructing a timeline, is the turning point in this entire case. It starts with 2 sentences the sheriff asked everyone to listen to carefully. What were those 2 sentences? They're about to change everything you thought you understood about when Javaya actually died. Key question. I want you to pay close attention to these next 2 sentences. This is very important, Sheriff Sawyer said. Then he delivered it. The 911 call reporting Javaya missing came on June 30th. But by the time that call was made, investigators believe it was already too late to save her. Their evidence suggests she had been deceased for at least a month. Read that again. A month. That means whoever made that 911 call was reporting something that had already happened weeks earlier. Here's what that timeline actually tells us. The original report described her walking off alone at night, a story investigators no longer treat as accurate. Sheriff Sawyer confirmed charges of filing a false police report on top of homicide. That combination means the 911 call itself is now evidence against her parents, not just a report of a crime. That's the part you can't unhear. A false police report isn't a mistake. It's a decision, made with intent, a month after the fact. For a full month, the public believed Javaya Harris was alive somewhere, lost, or taken by a stranger. Search teams risked heat exhaustion combing thousands of acres for a little girl who, according to investigators, was already gone. So the real question was never, where is Javaya? It was, what happened in the 4 weeks before anyone called for help? That question doesn't lead to a stranger. It leads straight to the people who should have protected her most. If she'd already been gone a month, what do you think happened during those 4 weeks before the call? Tell me your theory below. Suspect/Truth Sheriff Sawyer didn't make anyone wait for the reveal. 2 arrests, both of Javaya's parents. Jamaria Harris, 23, her father. Makalia Harris, 22, her mother. Both charged with homicide by child abuse. Both charged with filing a false police report. Not a stranger, not an abduction. Her own parents, in custody, accused of causing her death, and then staging a story about her disappearance. Sheriff Sawyer added one more detail that should sit with you. Additional charges may be forthcoming, he said. That tells you investigators believe there's more evidence still coming, more decisions the prosecution hasn't finalized. One reporter pushed on the hardest question left. How did Javaya actually die? No, ma'am, Sheriff Sawyer said, declining to answer and ending the press conference there. Some parts of this case are staying sealed for now, not because the answers don't exist, but because the prosecution isn't ready to release them. What do you think investigators are holding back, and why release everything except that? One piece of this case is still unresolved. It might be the hardest part of this story to sit with. Unresolved close Javaya Harris still hasn't been brought home. Sheriff Sawyer confirmed investigators are actively searching a specific area of interest, not in Aiken County. He wouldn't say where. If in fact Javaya's body is where we think it is, it's going to be a difficult time for everybody there, he said. That search is happening right now, while this case moves toward prosecution. He also asked something of the public. Respect the family's privacy. Extended family members are grieving a loss most of us will never have to imagine. And he thanked the people who searched anyway. Volunteers, a church, agency after agency, for a little girl they never got the chance to bring home safely. Here's what makes this case impossible to close cleanly. Cause of death hasn't been released. Additional charges may still come. Javaya's body has not yet been recovered. What we know for certain, 2 parents are in custody, a false report was filed, and for a month, an entire community searched a landscape, never knowing the truth had already been decided somewhere else. What charges do you think should follow once the full investigation goes public? I'll be tracking this case. Drop your prediction below.